Chris, thank you so much for chatting today. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure. My background is in engineering. So I spent the last about 10 years of my career at LinkedIn, starting off as an engineering manager. And by the time I left, I was a vice president of engineering there, responsible for most of the consumer application like LinkedIn.com mobile apps. About 6 or 7 months ago, I left to found a new company with a colleague that I worked with at LinkedIn. So we're building a new way for people to share and listen to bite-sized audio. So we're building a new consumer platform together. It's called Jam. If you want to check it out, jam.ai is the website.
When you think back on the moms you've managed who are among your most valuable employees, what did they do differently?
I was very fortunate that, LinkedIn is an environment where I learned, how to, I learned a lot about diversity and inclusion and belonging and sort of how to think about those things. And so part of that is not just how to think about it, but how to talk about them, how to recognize it, how to continually work at it and be better and prioritize creating a safe space. And so if you're in an environment where and LinkedIn is an environment, so I recognize this sort of reflection may be different in a more toxic work environment, but the moms that were transparent about what they had going on, right, that were able to talk about their kids and felt safe talking to me about their kids, talking to me about whether it's the school drop-off schedule or what's going on with camp, or their child is sick or their child has a special need or things like that. I think the more that I could understand about the moms as a person, right, and it might not just be their kids, right, there may be other things that they're passionate about, other things they do. Like I know one of my wife's good friends, is also a physician and has 3 kids, and she runs marathons, right? And so it's like, for example, I managed her. I don't, she's a physician, but if I did, I would want to know that running marathons is important to her as well, because that requires quite a time. And so I think to your question, the moms that, were more transparent and open about what they cared about, what was important to them, that made it easier for me to manage them and to kind of also, maybe it plays into what I would role model. It plays into making sure that their colleagues, also could learn about what was important to them, and basically just help create a space and a team where we can be supportive of them as their whole selves, right? And one thing that I truly believe, especially for parents, is your most important job is being a parent, right? If you can't feel like you're being successful at that, then I can't expect you to be successful at work, right? So anytime, a mom or a dad or, like was struggling with their home life and were open with me about it, the first thing I would say is what I just said a minute ago, is like, look, that is the most important thing. Like what can I do to help support you in that, so that then you can, that build on that in your work as well.
So you've been sharing lots of gems. Do you have more advice for new managers in supporting employees through big changes in their lives?
I think my most important advice to managers is to learn to new managers is to learn to really understand who people are inside and out of work. What are their motivations, and what are the sort of challenges and constraints that they're working under, and don't project, because I think it's very easy, especially in a field like engineering, which is where I am. Often people become managers because they're great engineers, and there's like these skills that it takes to be a good manager are complementary to that, right? And so I think learning to understand and recognize that people, especially in today's like remote environment or distributed environment, like their life has a huge impact on the work that they do. And so, take a time to ask, and then, man, there's one that feels a little orthogonal, but it's important to say it. I think there's this concept, or I think, there's a lot of people that talk about the difference between intention and impact. And I wish I'd had that framework really early on as a manager. I think I kind of learned about that a little later in my leadership career, but starting to really understand that and reflect on your intention as a manager and the impact that you have as a manager. And then also, flip that around, right? Like when you're coaching employees and helping your team learn and grow, like help them understand the intention of their actions and the impact of their actions, right? And I think that can probably pretty directly apply to the sort of constraints and joys of being a parent, and what you can do as a manager to honor that, and the impact that you have versus the intention you have.
Okay, great. If you could wave a magic wand, what policies or changes to the workplace would you make that would make a real difference for families like yours?
So there are, people want, and I think deserve, some flexibility in the way that they work, right? The hours that they work and where they work from. And these last couple of years have, I think, help us all understand that a bit more. But one of the things that I've observed, there are, especially for parents of kids in school, there's just certain hours of the day that pretty much all parents have the same constraints, right? So it's, the time that you drop off kids in the morning, the time that you have to pick up, the window that you have to pick them up after school, right? The fact that most of us eat dinner at about the same time. I think I would love to see employers stop even asking, working moms and dads to have meetings during those times. My favorite, like, short little anecdotes is I had a dad on my team who there was a number of us in a room, and someone was asking us to have a lunch meeting. And he said, "No, sorry, I can't." This was during the first year of the pandemic. He's like, "I'm sorry, I can't meet during lunch because I have to feed my kids today, at noon." That's when the lunchtime is during their online classes, right? And the person's like, "Oh, okay, well, how about tomorrow at noon? Does that work?" And he says, "I don't know about you, but my kids expect to eat every day." So, it's like, so my magic wand would be, and I mean, it's not that I have a fully baked solution here, but I just think that just asking people to, meet during these times or be present in the office during these times, that that the vast majority of, like, parents have other responsibilities during those times, is just, like, we shouldn't do it, right? I think, like, and I'm not suggesting we need to, like, set core working. I don't know what the full solution is, but I would love for that to just go away, because it's really maddening to parents to be asked to do that.
Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so, so much for sharing your thoughts and insight with all of us.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.